Nobody talks about how exhausting it is to live in that space between things will get better and I can't handle this anymore. It's like your emotions are constantly swinging, leaving you both hopeful and defeated in the same day. This is a message that I saw from this account called babyangel.jpg that I follow on Instagram that typically posts a lot of hope core, uplifting, pick me up type content. And I think they're kind of right. People don't really talk about this, so today let's talk about it. I think for me personally, I didn't actually exist for very long between these two states in terms of having that hopeful feeling and defeated feeling in the same day. I've had depressive versus manic episodes where I'll swing between the two, but then they're very different, distinct timelines and periods, right? But that feeling of I can't handle this anymore and things will get better. If you do exist in that state in between where sometimes you feel defeated by the world around you and other times you feel like you have this hopeful outlook towards the future, I want us to actually think about what it means to say that you're swinging between these two emotions. And in today's episode, we're going to kind of approach it from many different entry points so that you guys can kind of get my drift. Because if we think about these two emotions, what's driving them, right? It's the thought, right? The thought of, I can't handle this anymore. Whatever you're focusing on that's making you think that thought and thoughts similar to it is contributing to that feeling of defeat, right? Versus when you look on the bright side, quote unquote, of things will get better, I have things to look forward to, and you focus on those things that you can look forward to, or even things in the present that you do enjoy, then all of a sudden you're having a different emotional experience. And the reason I want to talk about this is because in probably my favorite book of all time in terms of something that really shifted my worldview and still contributes to how I see the world today, which is the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I think I talk about it all the time. He talks about the mind, right? And he talks about thought. He talks about observing your thoughts, right? And this is kind of what cognitive behavioral therapy talks about too, but he kind of talks about it from a spiritual perspective, but even in a functional perspective. If you want advice on how to stop existing in this in-between state where you're swinging between the two, part of acknowledging and becoming the kind of person that doesn't have these swinging states is putting yourself out of the thoughts and feeling like you are your thoughts, feeling like you are your ego, because that's what your thoughts contribute to. Separating yourself from your thoughts, sitting back and saying, I'm the viewer, and saying, okay, now that I'm observing that these are the thoughts passing through, these are the things I'm focusing my mind on when I feel sad, these are the things I'm focusing my mind on when I feel happy, the things I'm focusing my mind on, can they even be solved in the moment, or am I spiraling about something that I can't functionally address in the present moment? Because if I am, I'm ruining something that doesn't need to be ruined, right? Meaning, right now, okay, I'm sitting in my living room, the TV's on, there's lights on, whatever, right? My dog's sitting next to me, no one's around, okay? If I, in this moment, start to feel bad for any reason, it's not because anything right now is bad, right? Because right now, the only thing that's real is what I am experiencing in the present, right? The things in the past, first of all, your own memories can be distorted. It's all about your perception. It's all about the lens with which you filter the world. That's what defines your experience of the past. And that's also what defines your experience of the future, because neither of those things actually exist. At least to you right now, you are not experiencing whatever bad, embarrassing moment happened 10 years ago right now. So if you feel feelings associated to that moment, it's because you are choosing to think about those moments and you're bringing that into the present with you. You're bringing the baggage, right? When in reality, if you look around right now, you're probably in your room, or maybe you're on the way to work, or you're doing something where functionally in that moment, objectively, there's nothing wrong. And I know you can say, oh, well, I have this to worry about, and I have this to worry about, and I have this to worry about. The reality is, even if those things are pressing, even if you genuinely have problems to address, right? If in the present moment you're not taking action towards addressing those problems, thinking about them doesn't really make them go away, especially if you're just worrying about them and you're using them to make yourself feel bad. The spiraling doesn't contribute positively to getting rid of that problem, and it certainly doesn't make you feel happy in the present moment, right? So in reality, yes, it might feel like, oh, but I have all these problems, or I don't have enough of this, and I want more of this, and I'm lacking this. But in the very present moment, those problems aren't actually happening to you. And if they were right this moment, you would do something about it. And you would be more focused on taking action than you were about spiraling, right? And of course, everything I'm saying comes with, a pretty high measure of self-control, which is why it's a practice. And it's something that you can learn. And it's something that people, ideally, if you're, having cognitive behavioral therapy or other forms of therapy, you're trying to improve over time if you have a good therapist. Or people take spiritual routes to learn this. But the added layer here is that, of course, it's easier to think about than it is to do. But it is something that you can get good at doing. Because frankly, if you're not doing something that solves your problems, why suffer twice, right? And that's what worrying about the future and thinking, I can't handle this anymore, and getting overwhelmed at all that you've been through and feeling like you can't take anything anymore. You're suffering twice, meaning you suffered in the past, you're continuing to dwell on it, and you're continuing to suffer even though you're not experiencing pain right now. Or you're imagining that you will suffer in the future, and you're suffering now before the bad thing in the future even happens. And usually, whatever bad thing in the future you're concerned about, it's not just one thing, right? We have 100 different scenarios, and we're concerned about all of them at the same time, as if all of them could even happen at the same time. And we're experiencing the pain of what it feels like to go through those traumatic events as if they've happened when they haven't. And we can even bring science into this. There was a study done where they had monks who were kind of trained in doing exactly the advice I'm trying to give you now, but in their fundamental life, like they know how to just live it, right? And then they had normal people. And I think they put them under something that could help them kind of like measure like their brain's responses to things or whatever. It might have been like an MRI. I don't know. Okay, I'm not a scientist. But they did this study, and basically for normal people, if they gave them some kind of pain response, like shocked them or whatever, nothing crazy, right? But gave them something that would make them feel physical pain, the machine would record that they had experienced pain in their brain. And after the pain was removed, so the thing that's causing, let's say it was a shock, the thing that shocked them, even when they were no longer being shocked, because they were still thinking about being shocked or apprehensive about being shocked again, right? Dwelling in the past or dwelling in the future about something that's not currently happening to you. Because they were doing that, their brain was having the same exact experience of pain as if the pain response, the shock, was still shocking them. What does that mean? They are still feeling pain in the present moment about something that is not objectively painful because the pain has been removed. They're not being shocked right now. But it hurt, and they're still thinking about how much it hurt, or they're worried it's going to happen again, right? Because it's a study. And so they're feeling pain in advance of getting shocked again. But that could be considered normal because I think many people, right, behave that way. But when they did this exact same thing to the monks, they shocked the monks, or whatever the example was, to cause them to have a pain response. The monks would feel objective pain, physical pain, when the physical pain was applied. But the second it was removed, their brain no longer reacted as if it was in pain because it wasn't, right? But because they're trained to do that. And that's a skill that you can also pick up, right? So they weren't apprehensive about being feeling the pain again in the future and bringing that into their present moment. They know how to be present. They're meditative, they're contemplative, right? All of these things they talk about when it comes to mindfulness, they embody that. So when the pain physically was removed from their present, they lived in the present and they no longer experienced pain. So when they were shocked again, of course, feel the pain when it's time to feel it. Don't feel it before, and don't linger on it when it's already happened. Don't feel it twice. And I think that's just what I wanted to advise you if you're someone that kind of struggles with the phenomenon here that I opened this podcast episode with, which is living in between the I can't handle this anymore and the things will get better. Or just basically living in between the feeling of feeling defeated by your life versus hopeful towards your life. By saying that you are in the driver's seat. I think so many people put themselves in the passenger seat and they let their ego drive the car, and they let their thoughts drive the car, and they let their minds spiral. And because they're not thinking critically not thinking critically, but because they feel identified with these thoughts and they've given them the steering wheel, these thoughts are just, any thought you have, you react as if it's happening to you. But really, it's like, you're in the driver's seat, you're in control. You have the power to say, that already happened. I'm not going to keep worrying about it. I'm not going to keep feeling embarrassed by it. It doesn't affect me materially today. The world is bigger than just me. The other people have themselves to worry about. They're not thinking about that time I tripped and fell in 7th grade, or they're not thinking about that time I embarrassed myself. Nobody cares, okay? And they also, and obviously your problems could be far less trivial than that, right? And then you also have the power to say, unless I can actionably work on a problem that's in my life in this present moment, I don't have one. Because if I had a problem that was genuinely pressing, I would do something about it. If you were actively, driving a car and you saw that the car crash was about to happen, you would take the wheel and turn the wheel, right? But if you're driving down the road and you have and that's not coming, you're just going to drive normally. So there's no reason for you to be afraid of that before it even happens. You have the power to say, I'm not going to suffer twice or 100 times imagining future realities that haven't happened and experiencing the trauma and the pain of them happening as if they've happened. And I don't advise you to do this as if I'm an expert. Obviously, we're all just learning, but it's something that I've learned when I was young. Like, I think I read The Power of Now when I was about to go to the 9th grade. So after the 8th grade. And it's something I've really tried to embody. And it's something that I'm definitely, it's a learning experience, right? But it's definitely something that helps me. I don't like to dwell on my past. And even when I find myself dwelling and I'm like, oh, that's making me sad, I immediately know, that's just not the thought to think about right now, because it's not. And there are ways you can distract yourself. Get back into your body, go for a walk, do some exercise, move, dance, put a song on, put a podcast on, call a friend. Distract yourself, because there's no need to dwell on the past and there's no need to project yourself into the future. Do something that pulls you right back into the present, and then you won't stop having to go back and forth between I'm defeated, my life is wonderful, I'm defeated, my life is wonderful. Because ultimately your life is literally exactly what you tell yourself it is. Because the fact that you're pogoing between those two emotional states is driven by the thoughts that you're having during those emotional states. The thoughts you're having that are negative are making you think that your life is negative. And the thoughts you're having that are positive are making you think your life is positive. So even when your life could be terrible, if you focus on the things that are good, you'll feel good. And even if your life is objectively fantastic, if you focus on the things that are bad, you'll feel bad. It's like watching the Real Housewives show and you see them and they're in freaking Cabo or some beautiful location. They're in a resort. They're having a lovely meal. Their whole day is catered to. They're driven everywhere. And what do these women do? They bicker and they fight and they argue. And it genuinely, you can tell, they cry and they scream at each other. And you can tell it's like they're actually, to them, they're having a genuinely horrible time. But objectively, what is horrible about their life, right? But if you ask them about it, oh, well, my friend is doing this to me and this and this, and these are my problems. And it's not like those things aren't true. It's true because that's what's true to them. It's what they are focusing on, and it's what's driving their experience. So in conclusion, you don't have to feel hopeful all the time. All I'm saying is you just don't have to suffer when nothing is actually happening to you right now, right now. Okay, so as always, thank you for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. Welcome to Live Lumani. My name is Abiamudo. If you want to hear from me more, I just joined Substack, so you can find my Live Lumani letters hosted there. If you don't have a Substack account, they can also just be delivered to your email. Just drop me a note on livelumani.com/connect. You can sign up there for Live Lumani letters. You can say hi, say what's up. To me, it feels like I'm talking to myself, but I really am talking to you. So I love when people talk back. Tell me what you want to hear next. If you have questions about your life, you want advice about anything, or you just want to introduce yourself, I always love to hear from you. So I hope you guys found today's episode helpful, and I will see you next time. Love you.